the Union Army, that's the Northern Army, made their stand. The lines were pretty close together at this point, and this area where we're sitting was the space between the lines. It was actually more like a no man's land, with neither side able to occupy this ground. As I just mentioned, the Confederates occupied the town after July 1st, which made life very difficult for the townspeople. To say the very least, they were hard-pressed in many different ways, especially when it came to food and other supplies, the use of buildings as hospitals, and the need for burial places. So, with that little bit of background, let's get back to the Dobbin House itself. Like most of the buildings in town, the Dobbin House was used as a hospital. There were so many wounded, the townspeople had never had to deal with anything like this before. Surgeons worked day and night, desperate to try to save as many lives as they could. But this being the 1860s, medical treatment, such as it was completely inadequate for the horrific wounds being inflicted on young men within yards from this spot. Soldiers were brought here without arms or legs. They had life-threatening head wounds, chest wounds, and many other wounds that were considered fatal. Being brought here to this hospital was no assurance that the soldier would be saved, and sometimes they would not receive any treatment at all. Many died. Many bodies were hastily buried, and many bodies were never found. Speaking of burials, where to bury all the dead? Remember, this is farmland, and so, because it was clear and plowed, it was readily available as a burial place for the growing number of bodies that needed to be buried quickly in the July heat. We know this because many years after the battle, as the town was expanding into this area, builders found the remains of soldiers right here, right where we're standing. This is one of the many places, maybe, that the spirits of some of these men whose bodies were never discovered, whose bodies were never carefully gathered up and sent home to loved ones, maybe those spirits are still here. It is that possibility that we ponder as we try to make some small connection to those who never left here. It's especially in spots like this, where much suffering occurred, that many visitors today believe they have made that connection. I hear many stories about the Dobbin House, about folks just like you coming to visit, just tourists or people that have been here many times walking the streets. Coming here, they may look up at the Dobbin House. It may be evening or even late night when the restaurant is closed and all is quiet. Visitors have noticed images in the windows, shapes, especially on the second floor. It's the second floor that seems to be an area where many, many visitors have seen a large image in the window. The shape resembles a person. They can't tell whether it's a Union or Confederate soldier, if it's a real person or what it is, but they do report seeing dark shapes in the window. They've taken pictures, and I've seen many of those pictures. Maybe it's the spirits of some of those unfortunate soldiers whose remains may still lie nearby. Maybe they feel comfortable going back into that home, the place that they saw before they passed from this life. Maybe they linger here, waiting for help, or waiting for someone to find them and send them home. You might want to linger here for a while. Look around and contemplate this spot where the wounded were brought in, the dead removed, where the crops in the fields were replaced with the freshly dug graves of young men far from home, and where new crops would be planted, eventually removing any trace of those graves. Our next stop is another stone house on Steinware Avenue. It's just a short walk away. To get there, walk to the front of the Dobbin House through the parking lot toward Steinware Avenue. When you reach the sidewalk on Steinware, turn right, and staying on the same side of the street, walk to the next block. You'll be crossing busy Washington Street, so be sure to use the crosswalk there. After you cross Washington Street, continue down